After 1 year in office, here are the 8 things that the White House social media team decided to brag about yesterday. Let's go down the list one by one. 129 regulations cut for every one new rule, $211 billion saved. That's offset by the $200 billion that your tariffs cost us, but let's break it down. You cut 646 regulations and implemented 5. That's where they're getting the 129 from. Executive Order 14129's directive cut 10 regulations for every new regulation added, or that was the goal. Obviously, it's 129. Now, this signals disdain for regulation and not an appreciation for government efficiency. The Trump administration is changing how several institutions responsible for developing and enforcing regulations function, either by reinterpreting their purpose to be deregulatory, as in the cases of OSHA, the FDA, and the Environmental Protection Agency, or hobbling the effectiveness of entities like the National Labor Relations Board, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. In short, they've removed guidelines and guardrails that help keep the American worker and their families safe. 21% decrease in overdoses. Some potential factors for the decrease include an increased access to the overdose reversing drug naloxone. The FDA approved the first over-the-counter naloxone nasal spray in March of 2023. Who was the president then? And access to addiction treatment, something that Trump implemented during his first administration in 2018 after there was a spike in fentanyl deaths, which was expanded during the Biden administration. Made evident by this graph, which, if you know how to read them, you can see was clearly trending down at the end of Biden's administration. Although fentanyl overdoses were already trending up during the first few years of his first administration, this massive spike you see here is really just a byproduct of the COVID-19 pandemic, not necessarily anything that he did or didn't do, to be fair. 8 major wars ended. The White House and supporters of the administration list the following conflicts as ended or resolved: Israel and Hamas, Israel and Iran, Pakistan and India, the DRC and Rwanda, Cambodia and Thailand, Armenia and Azerbaijan, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Serbia and Kosovo. The reason critics consider these exaggerated claims are because many of the conflicts mentioned were long-standing tensions rather than active, large-scale wars, or in some cases, like Egypt and Ethiopia, were not active wars at all. Some of the brokered peace deals are really just fragile agreements because they already fell apart or saw renewed fighting, like the DRC and Rwanda. Several of the conflicts have continued to fester, for example, the war in Gaza. And most people don't even consider the scuffle between India and Pakistan to be considered a war. The same can be said about Serbia and Kosovo. 228 executive orders issued. Declaring national emergencies and then issuing executive orders behind Congress's back is not a flex. 60% decrease in VA backlogs. Similar to overdoses, this is something that was already trending down during the last year and a half of the Biden administration. To be fair, it did rise by 24% during the Biden administration, which is quite a bit, but there's a good reason for that. And that would be his 2022 PACT Act, which significantly expanded eligibility for benefits and flooded the system with new claims. 8 straight months of 0 releases at the border. Just because you didn't release people into the United States, which, by the way, we know that you are now, doesn't mean that people didn't sneak in. Also, I'd like to add, my opinion, assuming nefarious intent about a majority of immigrants is fucking stupid, and that's just a bunch of your bullshit propaganda. A 70% decrease in inflation. That is a misleading claim because you're cherry-picking the number. You're going off September of 2022, which is the highest that it was during the Biden administration at 9.1%. That's a result of a global pandemic. Everyone's economy was pretty shitty, and the American economy under Joe Biden recovered faster than any other country. You can go ahead and fact-check that. A better way to say it would be that you decreased inflation by 6.3%, because when Biden left office, it was at 2.9, and now you're saying it's at 2.7. Even though the data is incomplete because you broke your own record for the longest shutdown in government history. 100% of new jobs to American-born workers. Claiming 100% of anything is a statistical anomaly. You're only saying that because you're deporting people who don't have criminal records, by the way, and assuming that those jobs are going to American-born workers. Obviously, we still have visa programs in place, so immigrants do work here. You're incorrectly using the terminology, and people are still sneaking in. So, no, you are wrong, and you don't even have the data to support that claim. I think really you just wanted to be able to give them something as far as the economy or jobs is concerned, because your numbers are atrocious. Thank you if you made it all the way to the end. I'm sure that was very boring. I'm tired of propaganda from the White House. Have a good day.